So Flash Forward was the book that brought you out of the science fiction scene and made you really world famous. I mean, okay, and as far as I know, you've been involved in the creation of the television series as well as an advisor.
Yes.
To what extent could you influence what actually appeared?
I had no control, but I was consulted all the time. I argued a lot with the producers, and I won about half those arguments. So I think that's a good ratio. After all, it was their money being spent, $100 million American dollars to make that TV series, not my money. So they had to be doing what they thought was going to be the most likely to get a return on that financial investment. I was content with the way the show turned out. Obviously, in retrospect, we did not get renewed for a second year. And so clearly some of the choices that were made were not the right choices. But we all thought we were doing the right things at the time. And whether I won or lost a given argument didn't matter. We were trying our best.
Okay, if you could start it over, what would you try to convince them to do?
Well, the opening episode starts with this huge disaster, which we depict on the cover of the book, where everybody has blacked out for 2 minutes and 17 seconds. 20 million people have died. By the end of that episode, the very first episode, our main character's wife manages to drive home from work. All of that carnage that was on the roads, all of the millions of automobiles that had been in accidents had magically disappeared. By the second episode, all of it was in the background. All of the disaster had been forgotten. I think that was a huge mistake. We promised with our promotional advertising, with the imagery that was used, as I say on the cover of the book, the posters and so forth, this almost post-apocalyptic sense to the show. And yet it was gone within, the first episode only 44 minutes long. So by 42 minutes into the series, we're done with the apocalypse and back to life as normal. And I think that was a big mistake. Do we want to pause while the bells go? That's right at the top of the...
No?
Nope.
I don't think so.
You're happy with the bells? All right.
They
go every hour on the hour.
Yeah. Okay. So this is not your sole experience with television, right? Could you tell us about your involvement with other shows?
Sure. There was a Canada-South Africa co-production called Charlie J, a science fiction kind of detective series. And I was hired to create the series Bible for that, which is the biographies of the characters, the basic world setup, how the overall arc of the show was going to go for the first season. I had a great deal of fun being involved with the show at that level. When it ultimately came time to go to South Africa, where it was made, Cape Town to be precise, I chose not to go. I chose to stay in Toronto and pursue other things. I think if it had been made in Toronto instead of Cape Town, I would have had a longer involvement with the show. But I very much enjoyed my involvement, and it was a very lucrative involvement, so that was happy. My degree from university is in radio and television arts from Ryerson University in Toronto. So I had always had an interest in this area, and I just recently wrote a commissioned pilot script for Canada's science fiction channel, which is called Space, and hopefully something will come of that as well.
Apart from pure science, I mean, CERN, etc., you seem to be attracted to the topic of dinosaurs because they appear in several of your books.
They do, and my short stories.
And what do you find so appealing about dinosaurs?
I was a dinosaur fan even before I was a science fiction fan, ever since I was a little kid, but it's the same fascination. Dinosaurs are an alien form of life. We can't contact them. They existed in another time, and they were real. Unlike dragons, dinosaurs really existed. So you can learn about them, you can study them, you can set out to know everything there is to know about them, just as we can learn about other stars and what planets might orbit them, and maybe eventually about what life might be there. This appeal to me of life forms that are not like us was right there from my childhood, and it continued right through. In fact, right until just as I was about to start university, my intention was to be a paleontologist, somebody who studied dinosaurs. And I'd been accepted at 3 universities in Canada to study that field. I was actually going to go. And it was only at the very last minute when I thought, you know, I better find out if there are any jobs for somebody who studies dinosaurs. And there were none to speak of. There were 3 in all of Canada, 24 dinosaurian paleontologists in the entire world. This was 1979. It's not much different today. My notion that writing was a crazy dream and being a scientist was a good, solid, white-collar career was suddenly the facts were reversed. You could be a writer anywhere in the world. There's no quota that said there could be only so many Canadian writers. And so I shifted my interest from being a paleontologist to, in my early works, writing science fiction about paleontology. And it still permeates through my work. Every book is better if it has a dinosaur in it. If you have a problem with a book, put in a dinosaur, it makes for a better story.
With your books, you've received several, really a number of science fiction awards.
45, not that anybody's counting.
Okay. Yeah.
I, in fact, am the all-time worldwide leader in the number of awards as a science fiction novelist in the history of the genre. Nobody has more. Not Stephen King, not Arthur C. Clarke, not Isaac Asimov. I'm thrilled by that number. It's been enormously gratifying, and a lot of that is support that's come from non-English speaking countries. Yes, of course, I have awards in Canada and the United States, but China, Japan, France, Italy, Spain, all of them have awarded my work as well, which is very gratifying.
And which of these awards are you most proud of?
Well, science fiction is a funny field because it has what would normally be considered the Academy Award, the one that writers, professionals give to professionals. It's the Nebula Award. And I won it for this book, The Terminal Experiment. However, science fiction also has a People's Choice Award called the Hugo Award, which is given by readers. And I have to say, as much as I'm thrilled to have the respect and support of my peers, my colleagues, the award that means the most to me is the one from the readers. So of them all, the Hugo, which I won in 2003 for my novel Hominids, is the one that means the most to me. It also, I have to say, is physically the most beautiful of the awards too. It's absolutely lovely.
And does it still mean anything to you if you're awarded an award?
Oh yes, absolutely. In fact, right now we're in the period where we're waiting for the announcement of this year's Hugo nominees. And I have to confess that I just moments ago was checking my email to see if the announcement had come yet. It hasn't yet. So yes, absolutely. Partly because you're only as good as your most recent book. You know, this book is I'm very proud of Terminal Experiment, but I've written 14 books since Terminal Experiment in English. So for people to say, well, you did fine work, you know, when the book came out in North America years ago, that's gratifying. But what I really want to hear is that I haven't lost it, that I'm still at the top of my game, still doing good work. And the awards, award nominations, and if one's really lucky, the award wins, vindicate that, make it an incentive to keep going on.